Hi, the name of this Blender video tutorial is BlenderGroups. The Blender Group tool provides one of many methods for modelers to logically organize their scene. The tool also facilitates one-step appending or linking between files or across scenes. To demonstrate Blender Groups, I've placed in my Blender scene a number of building objects. I'd like to note that these building objects were modeled by Carlos Folch and were downloaded from the resources.blogscopia.com site. There's a link to this site on our 3D course site. To create a group, I'll select one of the building objects and go to the Object Editor. In the Groups panel, I'll click on the plus sign and create a new group. I'll name this group City Street Buildings. I'll then click the Add to Group button and select the City Street Buildings group. The selected building object is now part of the City Street Buildings group. I'll select all of the rest of the building objects and the ground plane and add them to the City Street Buildings group. Once all of the building objects and the ground plane have been added to the City Street Buildings group, I will save the .blend file as City Streets Blend. And I will save it to a folder on my desktop named City Streets Projects. When using groups, it's good practice to save all of the files that will be used by the group in an identifiable folder or subfolder. I'll then open another file, located in that same folder, called Car Blend. This file contains a scene with a car object. I will then go to the File/Link. This displays Blender's File Locator page. I'll select the City Streets Blend file. This lists all of the elements within the file that can be linked. I'll select Group, then City Street Buildings. Then press Link Append from Library. The City Street Buildings group is now linked to the car scene. Notice in the Outliner panel that the group comes into the scene as a single object. I can move, rotate, or scale the group, but I cannot place it in any edit mode or edit any of the group components. I'll go to Top View. One nice feature of the group function is that it's possible to add duplicate instances of the group to the scene. I will press Shift-A and add a City Streets Building group instance to the scene, in much the same manner that I might add any primitive object. I'll then move this instance, called City Streets Buildings.001, down along the y-axis. I'll go back to Top View. I'll add another instance of the group to the scene by pressing Shift-A. I'll move this instance, called City Streets Buildings.002, up along the y-axis and rotate it 90 degrees around the z-axis. I'll then select the car object in Top View and move it down along the y-axis to the bottom of what is now a long street. I'll set the animation length to 100 frames, and then on frame number 1, I'll press the I key and insert a location keyframe for the car object on frame number 1. I'll then go to frame 100. Move the car object up along the y-axis, and then add a location keyframe for frame 100. I'll go back to frame number 1 and play the animation. The car object animates through the building group instances. I'll stop the animation and save the file. I will then open the city-street blend file that contained the original group. I'll select one of the building objects and tab into Edit mode. I'll select the 4 vertices on the top of this building and move them up along the Z-axis. I'll then press Ctrl-V and merge collapse these vertices to form a spired tower. I'll then tab out of Edit mode and save this file. I'll then open up the car blend file. Note that the edits made to the building in the file that contained the group is now reflected in the instances of that group in the car blend scene. Using BlenderGroups is a useful technique for organizing project work. It's especially useful in collaboration. For instance, one modeler might be working on the buildings, another on the car, another on the lighting, and another on the animation. Using groups allows the modelers to edit their individual scene work, yet access the other scene work to understand how the modeling pieces fit together. When modeling alone, you might be doing the same thing with layers, but when modeling as part of a collaborative group, you might want to use groups.